had to get this thing taken care of here over the weekend, but it should be able to still check out the fights that's going to be going on at Maryland Live tomorrow. So here, of course, this is coming from the weigh-ins that they had earlier today there. So I was just talking about each of the fights that they had, at least on this list coming up so far, with the main event co-feature bout. William Foster, of course, who we talked with um, a couple of weeks ago, and Frankie Scarborough as well. So like, what are you thinking about? The main event and the co-feature about, at least so far.
I'm thinking it's gonna be a good fight. I mean, obviously, uh, who's it? Trey Fuller, right?
Not
No,
what.
Jordan White. My bad,
Yeah,
Jordan White.
Jordan.
Jordan
Yeah.
White. My fault. Jordan White. He's coming out of that Hillcrest Heights boxing gym with Coach Ernesto. Coach Ernesto, shout out to him for coming. And I remember he spoke on your uh, Boxing Source YouTube channel, and
Mhm.
the great things he's done. 2-time world champion trainer. You can't take nothing from that type of guy. So you got to know that with him and Jordan White didn't play the last time he was in the ring. I don't think he's going to play this time. I don't think it's going to be an easy one, but I definitely think Jordan White is going to show out on Pro Box TV. So I think it's a good look that Pro Box TV, so all the ones who can't be in attendance can be able to watch it on Pro Box. So I definitely think that's going to be a good one. So I definitely think it's going to be a must watch.
Yeah, for sure. He's there, like I said, around that top 12 or whatnot in the WBC, being a NABF champion. And, he has this opportunity where he could climb up the rankings there in that super featherweight division, particularly with the win here. And then, I also talked about the joint there with William Foster being part of this card. And, they got Foster, rated in the WBA, and that he could pretty much like fight for a version of one of those WBA titles or something there, going up against Benitez there on Saturday night. So that's two fights that I'm looking at, because you could potentially have a matchup there down the line between those two if they end up winning
I love that
their
too.
bouts.
I love that they do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You see
Mhm.
other people do it, but when you can see, people who's not on the PBCs or the match rooms and still put cards together like that, so we get a chance to see a co-main
Mhm.
event and then the main event that could potentially meet up together. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I definitely like that. So then you get a taste of what's to come if both are victorious.
right.
So I
Yep.
definitely think they both got. I mean, their challenges are not walks in the park. Like they definitely have been around. Foster, what, has lost twice, right? If I'm not mistaken, he's lost
Mhm.
twice. So,
Yeah,
and the guy he's facing, I think he's lost what, 3 times. I think it
three
is.
times. That's right.
Yep. So, like I said, these aren't like just what people consider cab drivers. I try not to use that. I'm not a boxer, so I don't like to. But they call them cab drivers. The ones who
Mhm.
you just gonna beat on or whatever to get a quick payday and move up with another W. So I definitely
Mhm.
like, and Pro Box. Anybody who's watched Pro Box, you rarely, I mean, probably less than 10%, see a fight that is not entertaining and where they don't do great matchup. So
Mhm.
granted, Jordan White is the hometown guy, but he's not going in there just like it's a walk in the park. I don't think his mental is going to be like it's a walk in the park. That's just not how I've seen him fight, and that doesn't
Mhm.
seem like how Coach Ernesto trains and coaches his team. So, like I said, I definitely think they both are going to have a task on their hands. William Foster, I'm not too sure. I'm still up in the air on what's going. I would like to see him come out victorious. I
Mhm.
would like to see him come out victorious. I just haven't watched enough of his fights to say he's guaranteed, but Jordan White, I've been watching him for a while, so I'm gonna go with Jordan White definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the thing there with William Foster, I had seen his bout that he had against Aronson Garcia
Mhm.
there, and that one was particularly at the lower weight class, around that thing there, around um like their super featherweight and whatnot. But the thing is, it's like he was really getting outboxed there against Erison Garcia last July over in Newark. So he had to have a couple of fights here, I guess, to try to go ahead and bounce back and get himself back in the mix there in the particular division. And like you was saying, with him being ranked number 11 in the WBA at super featherweight, like he has a shot to really climb up the ranks himself here in getting the win if he can there against against
And
Brandon Benitez.
have you seen that he lost his two loss, right? His two
Hmm.
losses that he's taken. They're in 10-round bouts.
Yeah.
So is there something where the 2-round bouts, the 2 extra rounds, is that a problem because he has to do that tomorrow?
Uh, nah, I wouldn't say that. Like the fight they had against LeBron, that was like a crazy, crazy score that they had for that. You know what I mean? Because one of them had it like 9 rounds to 1 in favor of LeBron,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
it was like I would say it was like closer than that. Had to be very closer than that. But the one against Erickson Garcia, like in the back half of the fight, like he was really getting outboxed in that back half of the fight. So that what I could say was pretty much a solid thing where he fell short on that one. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So okay, what I'm about to say because I mean, obviously, 2 extra rounds. I guess you prepare for 8. Then when you go 10, I don't know. I wasn't sure if he was getting gassed or something like that could be happening, or just was like you say he just got
mm-hmm.
outboxed the last couple rounds. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then like I have right here with Jordan Roach, it got him. I think that was more of like somewhere he's in a feature bout against Garen Diego, so that he could get himself a quick victory or something like that here in this Pro Box card. So you had that, and then I also talked about the thing there with Francois Scarborough going up against Victor Manuel Lopez, and with Lopez being there at like 6'2",
yeah, I
that's
was like, I said when I saw it, I said, "Hey, what's this dude? A little Sebastian Fundora?" Like I'm like, I mean, hey, I still think Frankie, like I said before, to see the franchise break down the last guy he fought and the adjustments he made to get the win. Granted, the
Mhm,
last couple fights I saw him, when I really started to pay attention to him, he was like knocking people out.
mhm.
Like they even said, he went against the guy from what was it, Michigan? And
Yeah,
he
that
was what
was
five?
Fair Victor
They
Jr.
both, yeah, they both had the same record.
Pretty much, yeah.
It got a little fiery at the weigh in, so we like that. So and then for him to come out and really like make that dude basically be like, nah, I'm good. So it's like for him to do that, I definitely think with Frankie, I just think he's probably gonna break that dude down. Like
Mm.
now, granted, I'm not saying dude's a slouch, but I'm just going with Frankie on that one.
Word, word, word. Sure. And then, like I said, there you got Jordan Roach. There, that has his bout. I talked about that. You got Ben Johnson. That has something going up against Brandon Mendoza. That's somewhere he's looking to go 4-0 against Brandon Mendoza. Mendoza has a record there of 6-3, and he lost his last 3 bouts. So it's all leaning towards
It's either
Ben
win or go
Johnson.
home for him. Is looking like. I no
Yeah.
disrespect to him. It's looking like a win or go home. So not saying that that means a walk in the park for Ben, but
Hmm.
at the same time, when you got somebody who like, hey, I ain't saying Ben don't have nothing to lose, but at the same time, this dude might be like, yo, I gotta literally like
Really,
go out
yeah,
here and really show
do.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
So you
You know.
definitely don't want that to be, but I don't think, like no excuse. They don't seem like to be the type they prepare for everything. I mean, look at Lamont. You know what I'm saying? They prepare for
Hmm.
everything. So I'm sure Ben Johnson, his last event, what the man didn't even break a sweat in pro box.
Right, right.
What was they in Plant City? Was they in Plant City
Yeah,
last time?
the last one he was at, he was in Plant City. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even know he fought. He was sitting in the after his fight, he was sitting in the stands. Like you didn't even know I said time out. So I had to rewind it and catch it. And I was like, did he fight already? Then I said, oh, I can see why. I mean, the dude he fought last time, he looked real out of shape, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
type guy. I'm not saying this guy looks like he's not in shape, but losing 3 straight fights, I don't know if he changed
Yeah.
his camp in between that. I don't know too much on the guy, but you lose 3 straight fights and you not changing your camp, or maybe he has some things going on mentally, but something has to change for you to
Hmm.
get victorious on this one. I'm sorry.
And hit the thing too, like hit the last loss was to Emiliano Vargas.
Oh
He
wow.
got knocked out in the second round, and it was in 2023. So
Yeah, yeah, and like light skin Lou. Shout out to him. Like he said, when you see these guys from their pictures to them just being in the area, they don't look like they take too many days off. So Ben is coming to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
He don't get paid for overtime like they say. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be honest. I think this is gonna be a quick one.
yeah.
I'm
It's gonna
sorry.
be another
He
good.
going to show me something different, and if he do, hey, I'll come back and say, hey.
I
But
mean, he says that he's trying to see if he can do something where he could get some rounds in. But yeah, I don't expect him to do that here. On this instance. So that one's gonna be a easy look for him on that. You know what I mean? And then you got the thing there
oh,
with Maya. So
got the body snatcher.
yeah. So the Whitmire against Roberto Gomez, and Gomez is there at 5-4. Those 4 losses came in his past 5 fights.
Hey,
So we could. Oh my goodness, man.
no disrespect, but I'm not saying that like the Ben Whitmore, they not going to win. It's just that pro box don't put on fights where it's just going to be easy. So these guys, just because they have these losses, we still have to get pro box usually puts on a great card. So which is like 11 fights tomorrow. So it's going to be a great card. But
Yeah,
I do think, like I said, the body snatcher, they called him that for a reason. If you didn't see him, he was on the prelim for
yeah,
he was on the
yep,
prelim for
yep.
Tank and Roach
Same
fight.
for Roach. Yep.
If you did not see him, go on YouTube, and it's a reason why they call him the body snatcher. And
Yep.
I don't think it's going to. I think that name is going to continue to reign tomorrow night. I don't think he's going to go away from what he's been doing. And I'm sorry to this guy, but I just don't see him
Yeah.
getting a dub against him.
I mean, kind of like looks in shape, or
Yeah,
kind of
you
like
can look in shape, but I just don't know. When you start getting hit in that solar plex, I want to know how many times you're going until you drop that guard.
Yeah,
If you got
still
a hard guard,
you gotta be somebody that's used to taking body shots. And usually fighters aren't used to taking body shots. So you know what I mean?
yeah,
What
definitely.
else you got there, man? You got Eric Hernandez. I had to see that because Hernandez going up against Johnny Spell. That one it was Spell at like 9 wins and 2 losses. There, when his last loss was a split decision loss.
Ooh, so I know
So
he
he's
on some
been
get
in
back.
really close. He's been in some close fights himself. So this could be a good test here for Hernandez. We saw him out there at the Rosecroft Raceway.
Yep,
And in this bout against William Ziegler, that was kind of a good scrap there, at least for the first half of the fight.
definitely. I
You
definitely think it
know,
was a good one. Like I said, the first half was great. So I mean, like I said, when you lose like that way, and they always ask them. So with you having a loss, granted it's a different guy he's fighting, but to lose on a split decision like that, it's something in a fighter's mind that most fighters always say, "Hey, I got to make it non-negotiable next time."
yeah.
So I'm
hmm
sure that's what his game plan is going to be. I got to make this non-negotiable.
Yeah. And, like I said, he's out there at Hillcrest too. So, we got, a good number of fighters there at Hillcrest that are going to be on this card. So, he's going to be out there to try to show up and show out. You got, of course, like I said, with Frankie, we got Trey
Didn't
Pound
Frankie's
Fuller.
opponent change from the time you interviewed Coach
Nah, because
Ernesto, or stay the same?
he didn't have a lockdown opponent when I was interviewing him.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, so they were still trying to arrange for an opponent because when I spoke with Nesto the previous week, like he was saying then that they had a couple of opponents that were proposed and both of them like turned it down. So they were still looking for an opponent, searching for an opponent, and of course, and it was pretty much like the week of the fight that they got somebody locked in for Frankie Scarborough.
I
I
always
mean,
wonder how is that like. I mean, obviously, you've had certain people who've had
I
that
mean,
position.
it's something like how they have the thing with the business of the sport. Sometimes, maybe like if they find someone, see if they can look for someone from outside the country. Do they have their visa stuff all in order and straightened out and stuff like that, or is it something where the money may be right or it's not, and sometimes it doesn't work for some,
Yeah, they
and
always like, how do you train? Like, I mean, obviously, how sometimes they say, well, it might be these three guys. So obviously, you
Mhm,
train that way. But when it's somebody who you did not train for, like the
mhm.
Shakur Stevenson situation, Now, granted, that's Shakur Stevenson. So with you
Mhm.
having that many wins, like Frankie doesn't have, he's going for 10-0, right?
Mhm.
Shakur has double that and more. So it's like obviously it comes with experience, but how does somebody who has single digits, how do you prepare for just on the go? Hey, this week coming up, you're gonna fight this guy.
It's kind of different because you're dealing with a different style. The main thing that you may have above your opponent is that you've been in camp. You know what I mean? So once you've been in camp, you kind of like went through, the mannerisms of what you usually do, with your corner and everything like that. You're pretty much like comfortable with, what they've kind of taught you. It's just that okay, these next couple of days, I have to adapt to the style from a defensive perspective, or pretty much scouting from a defensive
Yeah.
perspective. Okay, this is what I have to do in order to avoid what they have as far as like their jab or their big shot. It could be like a left hook, or it could
So do
be like
you
a
think
a sharp right or whatever. You know what
so
I
do you
mean?
yeah, so do you think when it's those type of situations that okay, a fighter who might even have less than 9 wins, they're like, all right, I just found out this week and the fight is this week. Who I'm fighting. So you know how they start off slow, especially
Mhm.
once you usually step on the gas fast.
Yeah,
They're downloading because they like I didn't have that time to work on this and this
yeah.
because
To be
I wasn't
used to what he
yeah,
did,
yeah,
or yeah, if you don't like in this case, you could have something where you don't necessarily get much footage of your opponent, so you might take those couple of rounds to see what they do, or pretty much in one round, or even within the first minute to see how they approach the fight, so that
yeah,
you'll be able to say, hey, okay, this is what I see him doing. Let me see if I can adjust to that, and see if I can do it, sooner rather than later. You feel me? So that's kind of like how that could work there, especially with like last minute fighters or something. In some cases, of course,
yeah,
because in others you could just have something where okay, we just found somebody. He's in, he's in there as an opponent. So you just go in there, you do what you do, and whether it's one round or 3 rounds or whatever, then hey, at least you're able to get yourself in the ring. You feel me?
yeah. I definitely feel you on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they did have that. What else I got here on the joint? Let's see. Yeah, so we got this one coming up. We got the ABO or the ABF. I thought it was the ABO. So they got an ABF title on this thing too. So
Yeah,
hey,
they got some type. Hey, they got some people trying to take some gold, and they got some people trying to
mhm,
retain that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so this one's gonna be good as well. So I mean, yeah, you got the joint here with
Sugar
oh,
Wayne.
yeah, Sugar Wayne. So I think he was on who is my guy? Well Connected. I think I see him on Well Connected's channel there with his conversation. So we gotta see how that fight is gonna go here against Dominique Griffin. And the thing there with that is like 9-0 going up against Griffin, who's 5-8-2.
Yeah,
So that's kind of like how that is there.
I mean, obviously,
Um,
I think it's gonna be what they consider a good bump, but I don't think. I mean, I still got the hometown guy winning 5-8. I'm not saying like I don't know too much on Griffin, but if we just looking at the 5-8 and two,
mhm,
like I said, if Pro Box picked them, then it's going to be a good fight. They don't try to put on boring fights,
mhm,
so I think it's going to be some good wreck for Sugar Wayne. But I just think Sugar Wayne loves putting on the show, so I
yeah.
think definitely like his showmanship in the ring. I remember last time I saw him fight was at, I think Hook Hall when I
Mhm,
saw him fight there, and I think Riccio was on that card, and both of them the showmanship, just like on how like they gonna get you out of it, and they gonna get you out of it in fashion, like
Word. Mhm, mhm. So yeah, so that's the next battle on there. Like I said, I mean they got a lot of bouts that they fitting in on this joint here, man. So they kind of
you got to get a
try to
good cushion because you're gonna be
yeah, you be in there for a good minute out in Maryland Live. You know what I mean? So they got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Man, yeah, that's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, yeah, this is a lot. So yeah, you got Trey Pound, of course.
yep.
There, like I said, out in the Hillcrest Gym. that's gonna have his bout coming up there against Roberto Cisneros. So another one where he's a ABO champ there in the super bantamweight division. Now going up against Roberto Cisneros, who has a
He
record
won
there of
his belt at that Davis promotion. What was that last year? Sometime he
yeah,
won that belt, right? Yeah.
yeah, yep, yeah. That was the joint there, man. He won that belt in the Davis Promotions card. They're going up against Robert Ellis. There where he got the stoppage victory on that. So Uh, now he's back in the mix here against Roberto Cisneros. So another bout that's here in at Maryland Live. He's kind of like been there at Maryland Live before back in 2023. So he's been able to build up a crowd here. Having a number of the local fights out in the area.
Now the thing is, we know he doesn't have any knockouts, right? He's won,
Mm-hmm.
but he's another the guy he's going against has what, two? I think it is two knockouts. It's like 5-2 or something like that.
Yeah, 5-2 with 4 knockouts.
Well, 4 knockouts. My bad. So only one that he didn't win. Not so. Now him trying to go for the knockout on Trey Pound. I don't know if that's his game plan. Obviously, he ain't gonna tell us. We just have to see. But Trey Pound, I definitely think is going to show out as well. Like I said, they got it's almost the same amount as NoXcuse as it is Hillcrest.
That's as far as the card, yeah. You know what I mean? It almost seems like it's actually more from Hillcrest and all that stuff there, man. So
yeah, Irvin, excuse me, he has 5 knockouts. So he has 5 knockouts. And so the last guy he knocked him out. I remember that fight.
Yeah. So you got that too, man. And this got Ricio here, man. I think it is it's gonna be on this straight too. So
I don't know who Ricio's fighting.
He got Ricio going up against Wyatt Schwartzberg.
Okay.
But here, what is it? Keith Cologne against Rashad Hicks too. So yeah, you got like a number of great fights here. That's gonna be coming up here on the straight, man. So that's the thing there that we got coming up here on this thing, man.
Ricio, you know how many bouts? I mean, how many rounds Ricio going?
It's a 4-rounder.
Okay. Hey, I'm telling y'all, in these 4 rounds, watch Ricio. He gonna bring the crowd out. I'm telling you. He always bring a crew. And they're gonna show out, and trust me, expect him to show out. It's only 4 rounds, it's gonna go quick.
Yeah, but he's gonna be action there for those 4 rounds there, against Forsberg. But that shows you like how much is out there for this whole thing for NoXcuse Promotions on ProBox TV tomorrow night. Now they say for ProBox that they're gonna start the telecast around 6 p.m. Eastern time there for people to jump on YouTube in order to watch the fight card. So as far as fitting that many fights on there, hey, that's gonna
Saturday
be
night,
really
hey, you're gonna be oh my gosh, like I said, you don't want it. Now the only good thing if you're watching at home, you can pause it. Just don't read the chat because I've done it before. Sitting there watching on the YouTube, don't read the chat.
What I would do is I would just watch it, on my smart TV or whatever it is, so I won't have to worry about the live chat.
Oh yes, yeah. About to say, but what I mean to tell you, because when you watching it, if you got to get up, do whatever you got to do, pause it and come back to it. Just don't pick up your phone if you follow the fighters or Pro Box.
Yeah,
they're gonna be posting.
So yeah, that's the thing, man. Just try to follow that live drink. But I mean, you got this going on, and then of course, you got what's happening, over in Atlantic City. So
what's that? A 2-hour drive more? 2.5?
2.5? 4-hour drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking me coming all the way to
but it's
Arundel,
like but it'd be like disappointing to me because the route, a lot of the routes that they have getting to Atlantic City, like you can't really. It's not like you got like a interstate type of drink where you could just constantly go like a certain speed. Unless if you like go in thinking like one of them toll roads that they have out there.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's the only thing. Them
But
toll
like
roads
yeah,
be
going on
corner.
like 40, I think it's 40 to go across
Yep.
from 95. Yeah, that takes a good little while from that. You know what I mean? So, but that one I feel like that's gonna be a good scrap there against with Bootz and Iamana Stanionis. Definitely looking forward to that there for the IBF, WBA, and Ring Magazine welterweight titles. You know,
Do you think it's too? I mean, obviously, who else was he gonna fight? But he has almost half more fights than Stayonis, right? Granted, Stayonis is a champion, so
yeah.
obviously it's
Yeah,
warranted.
but Sandy Onis, has pretty much like 10, 11 or so fights or whatnot. You feel me? And Bootz is like there, like his 33rd fight.
Yeah, I'm like, so when you got that type of, like I said, are we going to get? I'm just curious. Now, granted, I'm just going to say my
Mhm,
prediction is Bootz. I'm gonna go with Bootz.
mhm.
Do I think Bootz knocks him out? I don't think so. I'm not. I don't know. I mean, are we gonna get the Bootz from his last fight, or are we gonna get Bootz from a fight before that one? Because the Bootz that fought before this guy,
Right,
he
right.
was, you know what I'm
You know
saying.
what I
So it's
mean?
like the first time he fought him in on the tank card that was here in DC, and he tried to. I just
Yeah.
think he tried too
You guys
hard. He
did.
tried too hard to knock him out. And
Mhm,
then the second time they fought, it was still good, but no disrespect to the guy, obviously, who he's fighting. And that's when when you tell somebody, oh well, Boots wasn't as great, but it's almost like not to downplay the guy's boxing ability. You just like you expect certain things from that caliber of a fighter. And
mhm.
so when you don't get it, you looking at it like, it wasn't his best. So it's like Boots and
Yeah,
Stay Honest. I don't know. I definitely think Stay Honest is not going to make it easy for Boots, but I definitely think Boots is going to get comfortable after a while, and he's just going to start picking them apart.
yeah. I think he's gonna be much larger as far as like the reach is gonna be a
Yeah,
factor. Um, His height is going to be a factor there. And, the thing with Stanionis is his best work is usually on the inside, and he would have to like work in order to get there. And as long as, Boots said is sharp with the jab, like Stanionis is going to be, taking a few punches in order to
yeah.
try to get within range. So that's why I'm like I'm unsure of how Stanionis is going to be able to get the higher favor there against a Boots Ennis. I've seen a few people pick Stanionis, but I'm like from a style perspective, I don't see it.
Yeah, I
I
can see
don't,
if you just betting to see if what I'm saying what you win, but
right.
I just don't like you said, if you just been watching boxing stuff like that, and like granted, there's upsets all the time in boxing.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's always upsets, but is it really going to be that type of night? Like where, like
Yeah.
what? I'm just curious to be like, okay,
Right.
I need to hear the argument of what about him is saying Stayonis
Is yeah. And
except having a
my
puncher's
thing.
chance. Besides
Yeah,
that,
yeah, my thing was it was a whole activity part of the whole thing because with like I said with Jerron Ennis, since Stanionis' last fight that happened last May,
hmm
right? Boots had already had two fights. He had two fights already against Avazian and Karen Chikazian. And with Sandy Onis, there he was like around like 15 total fights. And he only had the one fight against Gabriel Maestre since his previous bout was in 2022. So some could say he was pretty much about as active as Keith Thurman or something. You know what I
hey,
mean?
and then for you to only and for you to only have now, granted, he's 30 years old, right? So you expect somebody at
Mhm.
30. I'm just thinking because we're going, there has to be a bar you measure people from. Everybody's their
Yeah.
own person, but there's a bar. At
Mhm.
30 and you only have 15 fights. It
Yeah.
to me, I'm just like, mm, I don't know. I don't see how that.
Yeah, and you turn pro at like 2017 and you got like 15 fights. But here like Boots had like turned pro at 2016 and he has like 30 33 fights or whatever it was. So
Somebody's been busy and somebody
somebody.
has not.
Yeah.
And
So
I definitely think that plays a part
mhm.
with anybody, even the people who are
Now,
great.
yeah. Now the thing that was sitting on this, as far as like the recent thing goes was, after his bout that he had against Raza Batayev, they tried to link him in with the bout against Virgil Ortiz Jr., but
Yeah, I remember
both
that.
guys had all those issues, and then ultimately Virgil Ortiz just went up to 154. So that kind of held back Stadionis for some time until
Yeah,
he
so
was able to get the
that,
bout went there against Gabriel Maestre. So
so I'm like, was he trying to do? But I was like, I wonder. Obviously, it's the promo and all that in your team, but I'm just like,
uh,
what about Stadionis is saying, listen, I got to get some wrecking. I need to stay active.
active, yeah, you know, you got to be able to have that something there where you're able to be put
Even if you
potential.
got to give me somebody who I know I'm a dog, I
Right,
got to
yeah,
keep. It's like any car. You got to keep. You got to turn it on, drive it around the block a couple of times, even if it's just your car. You only
yeah,
drive once a month. You still got to keep the oil going through them gears.
yep, yep,
Like they say,
and
sparring. Okay, you sparring and everything, but there's a difference. Every boxer has said it. There's a difference between sparring and you getting under them bright lights.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So that's why I was like, well, get, once you finally had that bout against Gabriel Maestre, like what, like stops you from having another bout in the interim? You know what I mean? So that you'd be able to at least defend that WBA title that you had.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like really concerned on, even with Sadio just having the work that he had out there in Wildcard Gym, that I feel like he's not going to be as fresh there over the course of rounds as
Oh
Boots
yeah.
Ennis will be. So
That's
that's
why I
why.
definitely think after time, Bootz just gonna sit down on them punches and
Mhm.
we going. Like I said, I don't know if he's gonna knock him out. I'm not gonna at least say that, but I definitely
Mhm.
think he's going to win, and it's not gonna be for debate.
Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna be more free flowing, and then it's gonna be an eventual breakdown. For Stadionis, I gotta see if he'll be able to take that for those 12 rounds that they have scheduled for this. And for Ennis, it's like, well, this is partially what I've been working or seeking for. First I was a top contender there for the belts, and those that had the belts didn't have the that circumstance where they were going to end up fighting me. So I'm like, well, I gotta go ahead and activate this clause or something like that, so that hey, either you're gonna see what's going on with the rematch, or you gotta see if you can make the defense. And I would have been like, hey, if they felt like they didn't know the status of Errol Spence at the time, as Terrence Crawford ended up winning that IBM title, then why not see if you could have a fight there
Yeah,
with a Bootz Ennis? But that wasn't necessarily what Terrence Crawford was looking for. So he ended up having the title vacated. And all Bootz could do is just defend against the
yeah,
contenders that were available there. So once he did that, then see if they could try to do another unification, but didn't necessarily happen. They had, of course, the thing there with the story about Bootz and Brian Norman Jr. last year, but that kind of like sailed, and it was like he was locked into a top ranked fight anyway,
yeah,
so he couldn't really step out of that and try to unify. Uh, so you had that, and then now with this, it's like, okay, now you get one step closer to seeing if you can become undisputed. And we see what Brian Norman Jr. did in his
hey,
bout against Derek Cuevas. So
he's sitting there. Hey, he probably sitting there like, all right, go ahead and get through this one.
mhm.
And as soon as after it, don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all get on Twitter because that's how
Yeah,
boxers do. Boxers get on Twitter,
yeah, oh yeah.
and
But
when
it's
they
like
get on Twitter, they gonna get to talking. And I don't be
let me get
surprised if they be
War
saying, "Hey,
Senior. I should get in contact with Brian Norman Senior to see what they'll say about this fight coming up. So
yeah, I definitely think. I mean, obviously they saying they not ducking no smoke. So I
yeah,
definitely see. I
and
mean, I don't see why. There's
yeah,
besides once after if and when he does win this, like okay, makes sense to go to Norm. Who else you gonna go to?
yeah, because I think it lines up because you got Norman who was out there with Top Break. He fought like a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And we said from at least the trader for Barrios that Barrios' next fight is gonna be in July. So you're not gonna see him fight either one of these guys. At least I don't see that. So why not go ahead and try to line up a fight between the winner of this and Brian Over Jr. And yes, I'm leaning towards Bootz winning this as well. So you're just gonna have to see if that does come to fruition there at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City tomorrow. And
I wonder why they
yeah,
couldn't get Wells Fargo. Wasn't enough names,
I
or
don't know. Could be unless I
they
don't
got
know
Raymond
if
Ford. They got
I don't
Raymond
know if
Ford on the
the
card.
the Flyers are like in the playoffs. We know the 76ers ain't the playoffs. We know that. So,
Yeah,
uh, but yeah, I don't know why they couldn't secure Wells Fargo for this particular fight.
76ers. I don't know what happened to them. I'm not a
Yeah, I
fan of
don't
them,
know
but
either.
I just
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either. But yeah, that's gonna be really exciting bout up there. They're gonna have Ray Ford featured on the co-feature
yep,
there. They got Omari Jones is gonna have his second pro fight. They're gonna put him on that like made the zone portion of the card.
yeah,
So that's something right there. To have Omari Jones. I saw him out there in Orlando for his pro debut.
hey,
Uh,
that young is
got
good.
himself a good win, and now he's going to be in here as far as like competing at super welterweight, at least so far here against William Jackson. So I got that, and then a few other fights that's out there. Akeem Moses is going to be on the card. There, Tamir Smalls is on the card. Sakura Giasov is able to get step aside money and be in a fight to get a little bit more money. So
Hey, I ain't
that's
knocking that. Getting paid is,
hey,
and
that's a
and
double
still
dip.
that's two paychecks. You can't be mad at
Yeah,
that.
double dip. So you do have that. So that's good overall there on his part. So that's what they had there for the matchroom card, and outside of that, I mean you have you know we got Albert Bell that's gonna be on millions.co with
Yeah,
his fight that he's headlining at the Huntington Center. He's gonna be there at the 135-pound division of whatnot. So he's trying to get himself in the mix because he couldn't really get anything at 140. So now they're trying to see if they can. I mean, not 140, but 130. So they're trying to see if they can get some. See him in position to try to fight for something there at 135. So he'll have his start here, in the 135-pound division featured in about that is there at the Huntington Center in his hometown of Toledo, Ohio. So that's mainly what we got here for the action this weekend, man.
yeah. What you think of Raymond Ford? You think Raymond Ford and Matisse? What you think?
I think he takes care of business. I think he takes care of business. He did have some type of hit list or whatnot. So after this, and I say, man, like if he could just go ahead and try to move closer to get the fight there for a world title or whatnot. But we got to see here, like him against Eduardo Nunez, that would really be something there. But we got to see what Nunez does. He's fighting for the vacant, should be fighting for the vacant against Masanori Rikishi
Yeah,
here pretty soon in a couple of months or something. So we got to see how that shapes out. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I definitely like Raymond Ford. I mean, he only has one loss,
Yeah.
so definitely think that he probably take care of business. I don't think he's going to lose. I definitely, I
Word.
think it could be some good work for him. I don't, but I mean, Matisse is definitely not a pushover. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
not. 22-4, you can't take that away from him. The way he boxes, so it's like I definitely think it'll be good. But granted, I definitely like. I don't know the paper. I mean, I can't knock the promotions because
Mm-hmm.
PBC doesn't always put on a pay per view stellar card. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just that when you have certain people, I think that's also another thing we have an issue with. We want everybody on the same card. That's the top of the. But then after that card is over, they got to rest. So then where does everybody else go?
Yeah, where else though? Yeah. Well, you got to have something where you had these dates,
Yep.
for these fights, and so that's the thing. It's like you could either stack a card, or you could have it where it's like got a couple of good ones and
Yeah, a
then
couple of
ones
good
that
ones.
are
Yeah.
gimmies, so that you can still have that type of format for other fight cards in the future. Later on down the line, instead of like trying to stack everything. Plus, if you try to do that as far as like stack it, then that's how much resources that you got to put into it. And if you're not getting enough for returns, then it's most likely you're not going to be able to do that again. you know. So
Yeah, yeah, hey, yeah. Then you short. You right, because then you like, dang it, didn't work out. Now I'm really short. So now I really just got put on anything and hopefully something stick.
so
Yeah,
yeah, so that's the thing there as far as like putting cars together, trying to see what could be done. But I don't know, maybe we could have something here happening like that. So some folks claiming that the thing that with Turkey LLC as far as like making those cars, but you see the returns on that. Like
hey,
you saw what how many pay-per-view buys for that February 22nd car for the US? Like, come on, so
empty promises from what people saying. So
yeah,
that's gonna be interesting if those fall through. Like if that New York falls through, but I mean,
right.
wasn't that New York was supposed to be outside and it's
Oh
supposed
yeah,
to be
it is.
free?
It is. It was free, but they got the thing there where it's it's invite. So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna turn out, really.
They
I
trying
don't
to
know.
turn it to. I get what he's trying to do, but it's just not
Mhm.
gonna. It's. I mean, we'll see if
Yeah,
we be hearing about him next year.
right, right. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what we got here so far. But just people look forward to the Pro Box card that's coming up tomorrow night. You'll enjoy the fights there, and then you got what's coming up on the zone as well there, and also if you look for like millions.co, then you'll be able to see Albert Bell in action there. But just here on the DMV Boxing Network show, just focusing on what's happening there with the Pro Box card. So y'all go ahead and enjoy that, and we'll have more on that Pro Box card here later on down the line there. But that's mainly what I got here for this particular episode here, Smack. What is there anything else you wanted to let people know about?
Oh, make sure y'all. If y'all don't know, there's a May 10th card coming up. That's gonna be in the DMV
Hmm.
Rosecroft Raceway. It's gonna be some. You're gonna have Sugar Sheet up there and some other guys. So make sure y'all check that out. So I think that's the
Hmm.
only one coming up. Oh, my fault. My bad. Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw,
Yeah,
Bowie State
Louis
University.
State University. Yep.
He's going to
April
be putting the
26th.
title on the line
Yep.
April 26th. You
Yep.
don't want to miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we got I think you got Too Sharp that's gonna be on that card there as
Yep.
well. Jakeem Hudson. So he's gonna be on that card too. So Bowie State University, that's gonna be something there. Actually, I don't know, I might try to do
Oh,
something next week, but
Michael, another guy from DMV, but he won't be fighting in the DMV. He'll be fighting all the way out in Cali. Mike
yeah.
Fox.
Yep.
Definitely, I won't be able to make that Cali trip, but
Hmm.
I will be trying to watch that fight.
Yeah, that Boa Chuck joint, yeah, that's gonna be something for real. That's gonna be something.
I'm happy
Yeah.
he finally got an opponent. He was supposed to fight last like a couple of weeks ago,
Hmm.
and could they the opponent backed out, I think last minute or something like that, and they couldn't find
Hmm.
somebody or something, I think it was. So to see Mike
Yeah.
Fox back in the ring, best believe the professor school is going to be in session. Better get your pen and pad.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that's it for the DMV that I can think of at this
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yep. I know that Maximus Garland is gonna be fighting
Oh,
next week. Yeah, so he's gonna be out in Washington next week too. So that that's what we got. Also coming from Hillcrest too. So
I know
yeah,
you
a
out of
lot of
town, so
lot
will
of
you be able
lot
to
of
do
action
your
there for our guys.
I know you out of town. Will you still do your report on Sunday?
Looking to see if I could probably do it. Just see if I could figure out how it's gonna work out. So that's basically see how I'll be able to schedule something for Sunday night. I mean, but that's what I got there, man. Pretty much like did it within under an hour there.
Yep.
So we got more stuff left to go here on the DMV Boxing Network show. I'm gonna see about doing something at least before the Bowie State University card, but I want to see if it could be done like next Friday instead of just the one like right before. We'll see how that's gonna sort
Yeah.
itself out. You know what I
Okay.
mean? If we could try to do that. So once I get more on that, then we'll get back at it, and then yeah, if we could try to see about getting more guests on this shows too.
Oh
So
yeah, most
we'll see
definitely.
if we
Yeah.
can do that, no doubt. All right.
All right.
So that's what I have, y'all. Y'all be sure to like I said, support the fighters here in the DMV area. Of course, support Smack like that. You check out his channel. Also, we has this thing streaming on this channel as well, so you'll be able to check him out. And of course, here with the Boxing Source, you'll check out the channel here, the Boxing Source, also. And like I said, we're gonna have more conversations with a number of the media outlets here in the area. So y'all be sure to support them as well. Okay. So with that being said, that is it for episode 2, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace out.
Be easy.